Hello, hello. It is Thursday, which means, it's time to talk about MMA in a podcast format. And I don't have a fight card to talk about. There's no UFC card this weekend, despite what I said at the end of last episode. I thought there was. I didn't realize we were getting a break this soon. But like this weekend, there is an LFA card, which if you're jonesing for something, please check it out. LFA is always fun. It's a Brazilian card, so there's actually a fair number of like semi-impressive looking fighters. Good looking records, anyways. Not necessarily super familiar with everybody, but there's a nice mix there that should be pretty good. So if you're jonesing for it, there's that. We also have one FC 162. Standard problem here, mostly kickboxing. Minus, we're apparently going to get a custom rules bout between Yoshihiro Akiyama, the sexy Yama, and Nikki Holson. We're also going to get Shinya Aoki versus Sage Northcutt. But, that's kind of one of those fights that it's got name value, it's got catch, it's got that je ne sais quoi. Hey, Sage Northcutt used to be a hype prospect. Shinya Aoki is one of the all-time greatest grapplers in this sport's history. But it's a 40-year-old versus a 27-year-old. It's a bit rough. Gary Tonon's fighting against Martin Wynn in MMA. Gary Tonon probably going to win that fight. I think that's the idea, frankly. There's a couple other MMA fights on the cards. I mean, there's stuff there. There's kickboxing, which I'll probably watch. It's got Izuki Hirata on the card. I'm not really familiar with the girl she's facing. Zombie Ayaka Miura. What do we got here? She won. Oh, okay. I remember this girl. She submitted Bo Meng with a Scarfold Americana. That was cool. But before that, she had lost 2 straight fights. And probably is just going to lose. But you pull off a Scarfold Americana in a fight, and she's got 1, 2, 3. She's done it twice. Wow. 2 Scarfold Americanas, 3 additional Americanas here. Scarfold arm lock. Okay. I need to look up this girl more because she appears to be like the Alexei Olnik of women's flyweight. I'm actually suddenly very she's gonna lose, but I'm suddenly actually pretty intrigued. You got to hear that live. But yeah, there's no UFC card, there's no PFL card, there's nothing huge, nothing big. So I'm going to talk about UFC 300 and specifically the most recent addition to it, Kayla Harrison versus Holly Holm. Now, if you do not know who Kayla Harrison is, and if you're just a UFC fan, there is a solid chance that's all that you don't. Kayla Harrison is, you could say she's Ronda Rousey version 2. By which I don't necessarily mean improved, but same kind of vibes. They're both from a judo background. They're Olympic judokas. I think the deal here is, if I recall correctly, Ronda Rousey never actually won the gold medal, and Kayla Harrison did. She has 2 Olympic gold medals, 2012 in London, 2018 in Rio de Janeiro. She's got a world championship in 2010. She's got a Pan Am gold medal in 2011 and 2015. She's a Pan Am champion 2011, 2016. She's a World Masters champion 2015 and 2016. There's a lot here. She's an incredibly dedicated judoka. A blonde white lady, which also I think was part of it. And she does come off with a similar brash confidence to Ronda Rousey. It's more than they're just both judokas. But there's a significant difference in the fact that I think Harrison always came off as more secure and composed in her demeanor, attitude, and so on. I couldn't see Kayla Harrison on The Ultimate Fighter as a coach throwing a fit that one of her fighters didn't make weight and having to make weight to absolve her sins as a coach. Like, she doesn't have that kind of craziness that Ronda does. Or at the coach's challenge when Ronda and Miesha Tate were climbing the wall and Ronda won, and all the way down she's throwing up the bird at Miesha Tate on the rappel down. I couldn't really see Harrison doing that. So there's a difference, but there are some similar vibes. Here's the big problem. So when I originally saw this fight was booked between Harrison and Holm, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought we were done with women's featherweight, but I guess we're not. And whatever. Like, you can do some things with Harrison that are going to be like somewhat interesting, and people come to the table and whatever. I accept it. I'm not super hyped for it or whatever, but like, it's fine. It's fine. And I assume I'm still assuming, this hasn't changed, that Harrison is like getting a big bag of money, because realistically, multiple millions of dollars came her way in the PFL because she won 2 or 3 women's tournaments. How many was it? Hang on. I need the answer. I need the answer here. So she won. Let's see here. Where she start doing PFL? There we go. 2018. So she won 2018. She won 2019. So that's 2. She won 2021. Okay, so yeah, 3. And then she lost in 2022 to Larissa Pacheco. So like $3 million. Or pardon me. I was right at 2. It was a fight in hang on. I hate how PFL orders their stuff. Okay. I'm assuming, yeah, 2018, 2019, that's 2. There was no 2020, 2021. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I am right. 3. So like, $3 million plus whatever deal she was on before that to do some stuff. I don't think we actually have a number on that, but like, lots of money. At least by MMA standards, lots of money. And then I learned that it's a 135-pound fight. I think this is incredibly stupid. There are fans who are like, well, this fixes 135. It gives us a fighter to build the division around, to give life. And it's like, not really. Like, don't get me wrong. Kayla Harrison at 135 as like a champion would be better than Raquel Pennington as a champion. Because Pennington doesn't get you out of the shadow of Amanda Nunes. Harrison does. But like, the problem is that you still have a bunch of challengers who are, in fact, still in that shadow. Like, if I look up the UFC rankings at 135 pounds for the ladies, bantamweight, where are you? You're at the very bottom. Pennington lost to Rousey. Pennington lost to Nunes. Pena lost to Nunes. Mayra Bueno Silva just lost to Pennington, so like, MMA math. Ketlin Vieira lost to Pennington, MMA math again. Aldana lost to Nunes. Holm lost to Nunes. Penny Kianzad, somewhat laughable that she's the 6th ranked person in your division. Don't get me wrong, I like Penny Kianzad. I actually enjoy her fights, but lull. Yana Santos, if she did not lose to Nunes, I'm not recalling if she fought Nunes now, but like she has lost to like, Carol Hossa and Holly Holm. So like, I don't even think it especially matters. No, her title shot was against Santos, Cyborg. Okay, but like has lost to, the old guard. Miesha Tate, very old guard. Carol Hossa, just not that good. And then we're like down to like Macy Chiasson. I don't know. Maybe if Norma Dumont can make 135 and be like kind of effective. I don't know. That's sort of a breath of fresh air, but like at the same time, really boring. Julia Avila? Josiane Nunes shouldn't even be in this division. Chelsea Chandler and Melissa Dixon. Like, it's bad. And no individual fighter being added to this division is going to fix that problem. It doesn't matter if it's Harrison. Doesn't matter. it doesn't even matter if Nunes comes out of retirement. The division was dead with Nunes at the top of it. So you're just kind of swapping Harrison in for Nunes with less of an MMA resume, specifically speaking, because, like, again, Harrison's judo resume, fantastic. But her MMA resume, lesser. So you're in the same spot. It's whatever. Like, I guess I get it from the UFC standpoint. We went out there. We got a big star. We hurt PFL in the process. We're a little angry with PFL because PFL did allow Francis Ngannou to win bigly against us. Although I think Francis would have won bigly anyways. But hey, neither here nor there. You know, so you went out there, you took a big star off of a competitor, you brought her in. She's now on your big UFC 300 card. It is a scintillating announcement. But why do we think she can make 135? Like, this is the problem. She never has. And for those who are unaware, her judo weight was 172. She claims that her walking around weight is about 165. You are asking a woman to cut 30 pounds. She's never done it before. She's done 145 once. That was her Invicta fight in 2020 with Courtney King, which she didn't look like she was going to die. She didn't look like it was a terrible idea. That's why I'm not against like a featherweight idea. But it did not look like she could go much lower. Like, if you look up, like, Google weigh-ins, Invicta 43, Kayla Harrison, and check out those weigh-in pictures. It does not look like there's much to go down there. Now, she's only 5'8". There are some suggestions of like PEDs and stuff coming into play, which I don't know, maybe, whatever. Like, there's the comments that she's coming in when the UFC has basically destroyed its drug testing. Because, again, I don't care what the UFC says about the seriousness of their drug testing program. It is an in-house drug testing program. I don't trust it. I will never trust it. Doesn't matter if we're talking about WWE. Doesn't matter if we're talking about more mainstream sports. Doesn't matter if we're talking about combat sports. Doesn't matter. You have an in-house drug testing program that is incentivized to let you do whatever. And not to mention the timing of that was like the whole USADA wouldn't let us like do what we wanted with Conor McGregor. Like, it doesn't look good. So that's fair, but like, this is the kind of the problem. It's kind of the problem with like, it dates back to like the Cyborg problem too, back when they brought her in and they tried to make her cut down. Is like, what makes you think that that Harrison can make the weight? One, if she can make the weight. Two, what makes you think she's going to be remotely the same fighter? Like, we would be talking about like her changing her body construction, essentially. I'm not saying like people are joking like cut her leg off or whatever. I'm not talking about that, but like, we're talking about like we're talking losing muscle mass here. Like, that's what it is. Like, Harrison would have to drop weight, like from where she is. It's not like, oh, okay, no. It's we just need to cut like a little bit more here. We just need to adjust the hydration levels or the nutrient intake or reduce the fat percentage. No, this weight cut will take losing muscle mass. And you're putting her in there at 135. Let's say she looks like crap and loses to Holly Holm. Where the hell are you? You put a lot. I imagine this is a reasonably sizable investment for the UFC. Like, I can't imagine that Kayla Harrison, who the UFC or the PFL was, giving a lot of money to, and was offering the Cyborg fight to, would come over here for like, nothing. And from her point of view, I really don't understand this, because people are like, okay, well, being a UFC champion adds like a legacy to her that isn't there being a PFL champion. True. Absolutely true. 100% true. But is that worth like just absolutely, probably like really going through hell. Like really going through hell. And it's not like the UFC has a great track record, because again, she's kind of in the cyborg role of the women's MMA star from outside that people don't find conventionally attractive because she's a little manly and big. And we're gonna make her cut an unhealthy, like what can't be a healthy amount of weight. I'm actually kind of interested. The state of California State Athletic MMA weight cutting guidelines, because I know California has like a whole deal here with like maximum weight cuts. This is not what I need. This is not what I need. MMA California State Athletic maximum weight cut. Let's try that. Here we go. I found it. Found an ESPN article on the matter. Here. This is an old one. This is back from 2019. Maybe this has changed. Here we go. 18% is their maximum. So that would mean that a weight cut from 160. Okay, you know what? Okay, I'm a little bit placated. 159.5 would be the maximum they'd allow. She might be able to get down to that, but like, that's still losing like 6 pounds by her reckoning. That is probably just going to be muscle. I don't know about this. I don't know. We'll see. I am deeply uneasy about this whole idea of the 135-pound weight cut. But you know what? She has signed the contract. She is going for that UFC champion legacy idea. I just don't think it really solves a lot in general about how interesting this division can be and how solid things will just in general be. Also, you're signing a 33-year-old to try to, like, save the division, competitively speaking. Which probably only got 2 to 3 years left of, like, real prime. That's a little bit, much. Anyways, that's all I really got on that fight in particular. In terms of like if you want like a preemptive fight pick, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd pick Kayla Harrison to beat Holly Holm if I was confident she was coming in like 100%. Holly Holm's, as she's gotten older into her 40s, she's always been a fighter that does rely a lot on just like raw physical power. And against Kayla Harrison, that seems like something that really wouldn't work. Like, she's used to like clinch stalling against the cage. I wouldn't do that against a judo Olympian. I wouldn't do that against someone bigger than you, which she unquestionably is. That would be that's a terrible stylistic matchup. But the weight cut casts like this massive shadow over it that I don't know. I'll probably, like, at the end of the day, I'll be doing my predictions before the weight cut, like results are shown. So like, spoiler, I will be picking Harrison, but I don't. If Holm gets like solid underdog odds, I'd probably lay a bet, and I don't know if I would touch Harrison from a betting standpoint at all. Anyways, I do want to talk real quick about like 135 in general, because MMA Fighting did their ranking show, and they're always joking burn the division down. And when I say joking, I mean they're kind of serious about it. And there are like other people on social media who are also very serious about killing this division. I don't think the UFC will. Because like it or not, they like having the division that Ronda Rousey built to, point at and highlight, for lack of a better word. That being said, I've been kind of trying to think of this. Is like, how do you fix this division? Because people are like poo-pooing the idea of, well, do an Ultimate Fighter, go out there and scour the world looking for fighters of this size, sign them, bring them in. And I'll be quite honest, I don't think that immediately fixes anything. But here is the thing. I don't think you can do anything else. You have to promote you have to make the division very, very, very noticeable. You have to promote it. You have to make it a thing. And that means we're going to get some bad fights. That absolutely means you will get some stinker fights. But how do you build the division? You highlight it. You push it out there and you try to make it a thing. And it's always going to be hard. I asked one of the collegiate athletes, female listeners I have, kind of about this whole topic. Like what? Why is there an athletic problem at 135? Like, why is there a lack of good fighters? Because 135 is not like they're not huge women. It's not like we're talking about men's heavyweight where there just like literally is very few people of that size. And her response was quite simple. That it was kind of like the heavyweight problem. If you are the size of a women's bantamweight, you can do other things. If you're athletic, if you're coordinated, if you have the base skill set of to play volleyball, to play soccer, to play basketball, to play rugby, depending on the country you're in. You will go and you will do something else that isn't like directly combat sports. There's also a social aspect that, like, it's pretty true that, like, if you survey a bunch of females growing up, they were socialized against like fist fighting, essentially. Whereas with guys, I mean, sure, we were, it was against the rules of school, whatever, but there was, I don't know, maybe my parents were weird, but there was always you don't start a fight, but if you get into it, you finish it. And there's a, push to do martial arts as a kid when you're a young man. The entertainment leads to this as well. I'm not gonna lie. Power Rangers, big inspiration for martial arts for like my generation. Mostly men or males, not females. And there's also just like kind of a weird social stigma within MMA gyms that leads it to being a bit of a weird place for women. Like for example, I have by MMA standards, very liberal, left-leaning political view on the world. No one really takes me to task at that in an MMA gym. I don't ever feel uncomfortable. But I could totally see how some of the, we'll call it humor, that happens in those gyms would be slightly disturbing. So you have that social aspect. You have the financial aspect that, let's be honest. On the social aspect also. I kind of also noticed this, like, again, it's anecdotal, but like my experiences and her experiences kind of lined up on this one. And we live in different countries. We live in different areas of the world. So I think it's, somewhat valuable that there was always a higher push for like women's athletic students, like the basketball team at my school, the soccer team at my school, the field hockey team at my school, and so on, to actually do well in school. Whereas like it was very, very socially acceptable that, the guy that was starting next to me on the defensive line was basically illiterate. That like he basically he could not read. I'm not going to say what year because I don't want. You never know. Someone might have gone to high school with me that's listening to this and like point this out. But like that there would be people on the team that were really dumb. And that wasn't really the case in the female athletic side, because she added on that, like, there was never, the school never made any particularly solid efforts to help out a academically struggling female athlete in her experience. This is purely anecdotal. But for a guy, heaven and earth could be moved. That star point guard, we will do things for that. So you end up with girls who are more scholastically inclined, more academically inclined. Sports is a way to get to college, to university, so on. Get an education that you can then go out and not get punched in the face and make decent money. So there is that. There is that element as well. So there's the financial, there's the social, there's the, it's kind of really it. Just like the structural athletic system around. And that about wraps it up. It's going to be hard, but like, I mean, I don't want to say the UFC won't just cut the division, because they keep trying to cut flyweight. I have no idea why. Like, that's been the weirdest thing. The UFC wants more belts to put on pay-per-views, because they want to do like 3 belts of pay-per-view for the big ones and 2 for the small ones. And they want to be able to main event like contender fights on fight cards and so on. And having more divisions would make this easier, but they have tried to kill flyweight repetitively. So I don't really know why they wouldn't kill women's bantamweight. I just get the gut feeling that that's not an option. And if you're going to build it. There you go. I'll finish off with like some thoughts on the whole Jon Anik situation. Jon Anik apparently is taking the whole DDP Sean Strickland fight a little bit hard. Not the fight, but the reaction from the fans. He's been kind of he's given like 2 or 3 interviews now where he's talked about, like, you know, how much longer do I have in this MMA space? I might walk away. This is basically, this is not what I signed up for, essentially. And he's a guy who's been involved in other sports broadcasting. And, you know, I think we can all agree that the MMA fan base can be a tad toxic. And there are some people that are like, well, just ignore them, just walk away. Like, I don't really think that's an option. I think literally part of being an MMA talking head for the UFC is having a social media presence and interacting with people. And if those interactions are increasingly hostile and vitriolic, you know, it's not something you can just stop doing, realistically. Like, I think that's something he has to face. And it's something I don't think he has to face. And the whole discussion around that Strickland Duplessis fight, it is abnormally toxic. So I guess in the end, I wish Jon Anik all the best. I hope he sticks around. I think he's actually quite good at his job. Don't get me wrong. I think being the adult in a box with Dominic Cruz and Daniel Cormier and Joe Rogan is incredibly taxing, and he does it well. So I hope he sticks around. I don't really have any solutions for what's going on. It kind of just seems to be how society is going. That's all I got for this week. This has been a short podcast, although I actually almost got a half hour out of it. So check out the links down below. I will be back next Thursday for some UFC predictions. I hope you have a fantastic day.